Defying all expectations, shouting into the void, in the middle of nowhere, Crete, Greece. Welcome back, everybody. Artist Journal, September 18th, 2024. Speaking as if it's my last day on Earth, because that is what I need to do in order to shout out here and make some noise in this Airbnb. My name's Adrian Pocobelli. Welcome back. So this is an experimental show. It's probably going to be remarkably similar to previous episodes, but I think it'll be shorter. The prep time was actually the real revolution. It didn't take very long to prep. Still struggling with object notifications. I keep getting the same 50 kind of rolled over and over, and I can't even check beyond that, which is unfortunate. Luckily, though, I managed to see this one. Look at what Nov 1914 did. Once again, at the beginning of the newspaper The Imagination, Nov 1914, out of Argentina, one of the many incredibly talented people out of Argentina. And as we see here, I mean, who's not familiar with the original, which I actually brought up here, Nov 1914, doing an homage or a pastiche of Picasso and women running. Two women running on the beach, the race, 1922. As you see here, what a beautiful version that we have here with all of Nov 1914's tropes, the frame, even almost the metallic colored frame, the stunning result here of these gradients. I was reading an article, I think it was Kachi Kazakina, and she was interviewing a well-known kind of collector or gallerist, and I think I bookmarked it. I almost should look and find it. Maybe I'll find it for next show. What was so interesting about it was a lot of the things she loved were the things that we kind of discuss here with challenging artists, and I think she actually used it, this like New York gallerist, the word challenging. How she loves challenging art. I think it's hilarious because it's a fun way, a kind of neutral way of describing art that's hard. And what do we mean by art that's hard? We mean art that's kind of like you're not sure if you like it or not at first, and then but then you're brought in. And as that person said, and I'll have to dig up that article, as that person said, you think to yourself, who would ever make something like this? And this is one of the great things of Nov 1914, and one only need look at this. Is that a cloud in the air here? One need only look at these wild gradients in the background, or even this entire work. If you look at even the frame, most of us out here, I would argue, would be trying to make this look like a real frame rather than just going with the gradient over top of one another. We'd be fixing things like this. Nov 1914, with all of the experience she's gaining on a daily basis, knows, I would argue, to leave these errors, quote unquote, which for her probably aren't errors, and even this hand, not worrying about it, just glorious here. So a beautiful beginning here for the newspaper The Imagination, still available. Edition of 3, and look who bought 2. Yuri J. Seeing the value here. I don't know if I have 10 Tezos. I need to do this show and buy this piece, actually. I kind of need this in my collection, in the museum of my mind, as many of us have now. So we'll go through, again, we're trying to get through this quickly here. I'm trying to get to Malia. Let me show you. So here's the Picasso. Let me quickly show you Crete map. This is the nice thing about doing a shorter show, in theory, is can actually go into other things. So I'm over, let's see if we can see where I am. So here's Heraklion, you fly into, here's Crete, okay, here's Greece. Actually, that's Greece too. There's Rhodes, very close to Turkey, as you can see. And here's Heraklion. There's Malia. I'm here in Stolita, a beach town. I'm trying to get to Malia, to the Minoan Palace here. Malia Palace Archaeological Site. So I'm trying to move fast because, of course, we have a Space with the Myth in 5 hours. and it's an hour and a half walk. I think I'm going to walk. You can take a bus, but sometimes the buses are sporadic or full. So it's an hour and a half walk. If I move quickly, basically, if I run through this show, maybe I can make it to the Malia Archaeological Palace. That is the goal. Otherwise, I'll go early in the morning tomorrow, is probably what we'll do. So as I was saying, the myth, the man, the legend, the myth, astonishingly on our Artist Journal Live Spaces, and look who's translating, Santiago, and I'm sure Santiago will have a question or two of his own. Runetoon is co-hosting. It should be an incredible show. Very mysterious, enigmatic figure, a total original, a unique artist. Again, one of the great artists of Microsoft Paint. And actually, I want to show you examples. I'm lucky enough to own actually one of these. This is Ralph Lauren, Ralph Dreams. Again, you can see made on Microsoft Paint. This is 100%. Just to give you guys a taste, here's some of the early work. I mean, this early one, kind of an edgy piece, if I remember right, 1500 Tez. Yeah, it's an edgy piece. This boxing ring. This was the Genesis. This is Myth's first work, and there's the Myth. I gotta love it. The lemon head there from the very beginning. This is a classic. I wish I owned this one. Edition of 15. The man, the legend, the myth, and there's him with a bunch of money. Again, out of Argentina, Buenos Aires. So far, 2 artists in this show from Buenos Aires without even trying. No fear. This is a beautiful piece here. I do own this one. Just gorgeous. Look at the color there. Again, made with Microsoft Paint. Stunning. Only 68 Tezos for this August 12th, 2021 hen work by the Myth. Anyway, so that is coming up. Very exciting for anybody that's been in the Tezos ecosystem. They'll know what a huge show it is today. So check that out. Otherwise, I'll have it. You can listen to the recording if you're away, or you watch this later. So let's look at the comments on last show. Thank you everybody for the support. Credible Physical Objects. Yolantis Website Mentor. Adrian, thanks so much for highlighting the Kelowna show. The Michele Kelowna show, or Kelowna Contemporary, with photos and videos of Lily Illo's work. I went through it last week on their On Cyber Digital Twin Metaverse site, but couldn't zoom in very close to the artworks. Seeing the photos that show the shine of the texture on the physical piece was great. The framing of the works is very professional and subtle too. I completely agree. Lily's a designer by trade, or at least let's put it this way, has a lot of experience designing. And so it really shows in the care that is taken in the visual product. I completely agree with these comments here. Blue Sky Ocean, so cool. Awesome to hear from you. Appreciate that. Mama Deuce Ow, very dope selection as usual. Thank you. And 31 of M Live. We're going to go quick. Exactly. I think that was an hour and 20 minutes, hilariously. This one should be faster. Let's see. PP Universal. Very fast, boy. And finally, and a bit of a cringe from Von Gussie. Anonymous account throwing stones at from glass houses over there. Let's continue. Choose. On the Twitter, I'm a half hour from Wayne, Pennsylvania. So crazy. I'm going to try to see this show before I move. Awesome. Fabian, always good to see you. Cheers. Sailor Morcos, who actually have another work by them this episode. Always a pleasure to watch, and now super happy to see my work on the journal. Thank you, and thrilled to discover your work, Sailor Mocos. Sailor Mocos. Awesome. Michele Kelowna of Kelowna Contemporary. Adrian, are you running away from the law? Maybe it was the unshaven face and trying to go fast and keeping my voice low. Maybe it seems that way. I realize, though, I do need bigger Airbnbs, because even now I hear people going through and I just think to myself, it makes you more self-conscious. Let's put it that way. When you have people right around you, when you're doing something like this. Little Cakes and Fear for Tez was for Friday the 13th. Thanks for sharing my piece. Thanks for telling me. I should really know that by now. So every Friday the 13th is Fear for Tez. That completely explains it. Brain Dead, great selection. As always, thank you. Appreciate it. And Little Cakes, Eizo Labs comment, getting clean, clear documentation from RGB Montreal and seeing the care with which they presented each work was refreshing. and I'm grateful for it. It was totally refreshing and impressive. When you don't see such treatment, kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth, even if happy for an opportunity. Completely agree. As I said here, it almost sets a new benchmark. And 8so replying, I truly hope so. It does set a benchmark. It'll be standard practice for future RGB MTL events. Either way, though. Awesome. Exactly. It's kind of like, to a certain degree, the show, and to a certain degree, the scene. It's just, at a certain point, it's sort of like you can wait for somebody else to do it, or you can just do it yourself. And that's what they're doing. And in the land of the internet, in the era of the internet, that's not a terrible outcome. Like, it's not a bad way of operating. It's kind of a fun way of operating. And look at how much success they had by doing it themselves. So, it was, I think it got a lot of attention. Henry Dalbrez, actually busy doing the same right now. Too many physical objects are just an afterthought and don't get the attention they deserve. Indeed, especially with digital going to physical, and it's really worth putting in that extra effort and conceiving them as physical artworks and what that all means rather than simply printing it out on a piece of paper and saying, there's your physical. Really taking the care, how are you printing it, on what, why, and all these things really adds to the work itself, and to the credibility, I would argue. Quampa, Poco, awesome to hear from you, Quampa. Such a great artist. It's just rad hearing from you, Quampa. Big shout out. Trippy Collector, let's go. Lily Illo kicking us off on Monday feels exactly what we need. Awesome. Thank you, Trippy. And Son of Stag, I'm certain Lily uses the early 1.5 models of Stable Diffusion. Looking forward to hearing the rest as usual. Very interesting, Son of Stag. Yeah, that sounds right. She was mentioning in the spaces exactly what she uses. So if you want to confirm, you could go to that space and you'll hear. Lily Illo, awesome. So much gratitude for you, Poco. This is very awesome to see you opening the show with my work today. The generosity of Michele Colonna, Trippy Collector, and Mikey Wilson throughout this show, posting and documenting the works in this space, championing the works. I am utterly blown away. Thank you for this. Little correction in details. I do not use Midjourney. I love Midjourney outputs, but for me, I think the mid in Midjourney, I think I put the mid in Midjourney and prefer Stable Diffusion version 1.5. So Son of Stag on the mark. So work with that and DALL-E mostly, as well as some other AI tools. And Lily was saying how she has like a few credits left in the earlier version of DALL-E. Interestingly, that she's using just super with a lot of discretion because you can add credits. That space we did with her was awesome. So thanks for the correction. So no Midjourney. The works are indeed sold at 0.4 ETH or fiat equivalent through Kelowna Contemporary digital and physical coupled together, linked with trace chip from Transient Labs. I mean, how impressive. It is also interesting the works sold in the gallery fiat sales are hard to record on chain, so they get delisted in the Foundation digital NFT, and they disappear from the show on Foundation. There must be some fix for it, but it does not seem possible yet. The works are flatbed printed on birchwood here in Melbourne, Australia. For my work, wood grain seemed the perfect surface. Okay, well, I'm just grateful, big smile on my face, and beaming heart, sending much, much thanks. Well, awesome. Thank you for all of the information and details on that, Lily, and just rad to hear from you again. And here's Michele, that's correct, Adrian. Each NFT comes with a physical 16.5 by 23.5 single edition print on birchwood board framed and signed with Transient Labs trace chip digital authentication. I mean, how professional. You get, some adults who have a little bit of time to do this and dedication. I mean, you get like this is like professional, as if you hired a professional organization to do this for you. And it's just really impressive. It just feels very pro. An amazing value at 0.4 ETH, indeed. I mean, that's only like $1,100, I think. And you get a physical. And you get a Lily Illo, 1 of 1 on ETH. Kel's, awesome to hear from you. And Rafa, congrats Lily Illo and Michele Colonna. Well-deserved coverage of the show and art. So awesome to hear from everybody. And Libro Block, as we open the community here, a couple of works here on Taya. Interesting. There's even a little bit of audio. Cool work. So animated abstract. A little bit of a kind of lounge chill vibe there. Morgan Higby Flowers with a video. I did look at that. Morgan, I'm not going to bring it up here. If you can get a video though posted to the, like as or at least an excerpt, we can bring it in. I can show it on the show. Ilya Barabin. Hello everyone, this is Poetry, my new drop on Object. I would be glad if you pay attention and support. So Ilya Barabin with a cool, looks like a physical here, of a dog. Red dog, very cool. Luke 500, I could listen and watch to this all day long. Dr. Bill Kolomacek collab with Yes Vami, 100% code art. Very cool. And of course we did work with Dr. Bill, a live show with Dr. Bill a few weeks ago, about a month ago. Of course, Dr. Bill being early generative artist, early kind of digital artist, you could say. And there is Kurt Hustle Collective on the scene here, just rad. Love these guys. And awesome music as ever. Just love the vibe from those guys, and always hilarious and beautiful. 369 Disguiser. Thank you everybody for posting here. Quite a few works here. Valley Pocan, thank you for posting. This is awesome. Ernesto Ash, thank you. And just very cool abstract work here. And Austin, a cool pixel art work. iPhone drawing posted to X, seen by Enthusiast. And Enthusiast reaches out and asks to acquire a 1 of 1, makes offer. Offer accepted, minted on Tezos, happy collector, happy artist. Isn't that just so true? How cool is that? Awesome to hear from you, Austin. And MR Rero, generative piece, we saw this. Okay, we're good. Wow. A lot of works posted in the last day. So we've been talking about compressionist art. This idea of trying to make works as small as possible. And of course, you know, what's funny about this and how it's got this name now, Compressionist Keith Haring Forgery by Sabato. It's kind of like, I would argue this is a fantasy, at least I've had in the back of my head for a long time, which is what if you made very small versions of all your artwork and put it on somewhere like Bitcoin, right? Or put it on the blockchain, but again, something on-chain. And as I was mentioning last episode, we do seem to be getting a convergence of sorts between pixel art, what I'd loosely call compressionism, you know, going for small file size, and the on-chain thing, putting on-chain art that doesn't require a cloud. They're all kind of weirdly, I'd say, they have kind of a shared purpose, right? Which is small file size, you know, pixel art's small file size. Like they all have this they kind of need one another in order to get to that goal of a small file size on-chain, which needs small file size, pixel art, you know, often small file size. Here, Sabato reducing the color in this Keith Haring work. And it's very fun. And I'm getting very tempted to do the same thing. Again, the idea's been in my mind for, I would argue, a very long time. This idea of doing the remixes, because you can't put a 5 megabyte file, for example, on Bitcoin, but you can do very, you know, interesting variations of it, for example, if Bitcoin's what you want to put on, and you can. So it kind of opens up this whole other kind of world, because all of a sudden, as I've mentioned here before, there's a million different variations you can make of all your works, and then what's interesting about this is the need for a small file size gives it a kind of purpose to making that, because in a sense, otherwise you go, well, why this, then that, and you could just make a million different works of each piece, and I'm not against that. You know, here we'll put a red background, here we'll put a yellow background, here. I'm not against that. I'm actually kind of for it. It's like, I think Warhol actually set a precedent in that respect. But nevertheless, we almost have, what's kind of beautiful about this compressionist thing, and again, I do have ambivalency towards a term like this, but, you know, and it's something we were already doing before this word happened, but it is kind of catchy, is this need, it justifies itself, we might say, with by needing a low file size to get on chain. And often the route towards this low file size is towards pixelation. Or you take a pixel art work, you could argue this deluxe paint work is a pixel art work, you could argue, although it's debatable. But you see, you know, done at a low resolution file size, and then just say removing the color here, and all of a sudden now it's only 96 kilobytes, right? So very interesting. Of course, I follow Sabato. That is a glitch on X. Another comment here, Dreaming Tulpa. Kind of feels like the AI art scene on X has died out. Where's everyone? Not what I've seen. I still see strange things, new works with the what look like, again, Michelangelo's Dying Slave being combined with sports figures. Those are, to me, that was a massive breakthrough that was done there. What we're seeing with Tukes continues to be interesting. Look, we just started with Lily Illo, and you could say, oh, well, that's AI. You could say that is, okay, that's physical, but it is AI art put on physical, right? So I guess it depends where you're looking. Perhaps as a trend, maybe it is dying, but as a specific, specific examples,
Good morning, everyone.
I think you can just look at this show here. Now, this is a 2-minute video. This was awesome. Michele Colonna put it together. And it basically explains the entire show and basically what Lily just explained there, which is if you buy the NFT, you also get the physical. And just all the details about it. So it goes for 2 minutes, and so check that out. I retweeted it. It's in my feed. It's also on Michele Colonna's. And this looks like a print, right? And this is available as an edition on Foundation, interestingly. So how cool is that? I would love to see this print too, in person, all of it. And here, again, excellent documentation, signed over here, shipped from Australia. There is the Transient Labs, authentication. Very cool. My only concern would be with this, kind of authentication is what happens when, what if Transient Labs disappears? Where is this going to work in 100 years is my question. And so that would be my only kind of open question on that. But yeah, again, these stunning works and just beautiful photography, by the way, of the works, like especially there. A perfect shot for documentation. This was also interesting because it gets the reflection in the wood. So again, you see the saturation there, just stunning. Henry Dobrez, preparing a long post to explain it all, but we have spent months with Matter Lab trying to figure out how the best way to respect the work and avoid feeling like a simple varnish. So here, back to digital being made into physicals, and back to art matter. Here we see some experimentation going on, and so it continues with art matter. And thank you for posting that, Henry Dobrez. Looks very cool and super interesting. Again, so all sorts of interesting innovation here going on with digital artists making their work physical, which I'd argue, again, is like when you look at digital art from, again, what I'd call the first generation, from the 70s to, even just to pre-NFTs or up to Tumblr, most of that were even late 90s, maybe net art, where they started making websites. But up until that point, it was kind of all about making it physical, right? So it's an interesting, it's just super interesting to see this continue and evolve, right? This is August Ground. I thought this was actually pretty hilarious. From a recent show of mine, Mixed Media Tongues and Pipes, Affluent and Language. So a cool kind of surrealist pipe is what I would say. And by the way, there's the One of One. We're talking to Surrealist Manifesto today. With Santiago will be there, Tim from One of One, Marcel, and Runetune. So by the way, so I just read the Surrealist Manifesto again. And so when I see these tongues coming out of the pipes, there's a hilarious irrational logic, we might say, to it. Mech.txt, look how great this looks. Speaking of, this was at RGB Montreal. Look at that. When you have those two colors, and even just how this is being displayed right here. Pretty cool, isn't it? So very nice. More examples at RGB Montreal. Eli Scheinman, no one will believe this has artistic merit if we keep displaying the work like this, because this is what you're seeing. is, a horizontal work put on a vertical TV, and of course it doesn't look very flattering, does it? So just to send home the point, this is super interesting. What Dan Control is doing as usual, cigarette, almost, so here's the gradient tool, what looks like in Photoshop, but making a cigarette out of it. This is interesting. This is super interesting. I think this is going to go on Zora, if I'm not mistaken. We'll see if there are any others. There's just that one, but again, Dan Control with a super minimal conceptual, approach. Very cool and persuasive and just stylish. So very cool. Yuri J, washing machine. This went to Sunday Fun Day for 333 Tez, and that was just listed. So washing machine. And so another washing machine. I think the other, was it a stove? And here we see a washing machine and classic repetition of elements here, or of shapes in some areas, and all of these great textures. And then inside the washing machine, you get a much more noisy image. Here, very cool, just again, tons of texture, tons of fun, totally unique, totally Yuri J. 333 Tez, nice work. And another portrait of the bathroom here. Beautiful textures here. So seemingly on fire, Yuri J. It's getting pretty impressive, and a lot of them are coming out, and they're looking pretty great. Even just that color, the orange there, powerful. Here's Gozo, offering digital collage by Gozo. I believe there's a little bit of AI in here, if I remember right. So I think stable diffusion and digital collage, I think. Cool abstract here, 30 Tez, edition of 20, and that's on secondary, selling out at 15 on primary. Here is Rinnyfish, cool green work, kind of unusual, Lucid Dream, great title. Let's see. Kind of a fun, chill work from Rinnyfish. Beautiful. That is an edition of 10. Has that gone for sale yet? It has, and selling out at 11 Tezos. Great work, and looking like it sold out in just a few hours there, 3 hours. Impressive. One Don't Knows, Untitled Composition and Color Study 2024. So haven't seen a ton from One Don't Knows in the last couple of years, just here and there, kind of more selective. Did very well in 2020, 2021. So it's just interesting. So here on Instagram, just very cool collage here from One Don't Knows. Cool person, I think out of Indonesia, if I'm not mistaken. PP Universal, rad collage here. Kind of a conflation of elements. Here you see the hammer and sickle of communism being filled with corporate iconography. The old Apple logo, Macintosh, McDonald's, very cool. Very interesting and stylish works here. Looks like it's sold out. Great work, PP Universal. Here's Lorna Mills doing the classic masking work using orange, and here is a pepperoni pizza coming in and out of focus here, or I guess the mask, or just, different layers showing up of the pieces of pizza. Great piece and fun piece from Lorna Mills. Sailor Mokos. Another interesting gradient, almost looking like a cartoon here, but done with gradients. Just kind of mysterious and wild work here. Cherries, what looks like almost a Casper the Ghost or a baby figure here. Totally mysterious, very cool. Here is L'Inquisiteur on the Fake Whale Gallery Art Market. La Cour des Miracles, Where Only Souls Matter, 4,000 by 3,000, Burnsy Witch, and that is 5 Tezos, edition of 13. So interesting kind of digital painting here. Lots of texture in the background. Interesting narrative work here. And strange with the toilet plungers. Again, that bathroom theme reappearing. Here's the myth with a new work, Swarm of Souls. And we see all of these myth masks here. Yellow mass, and a few of these figures. I'll have to ask Myth about this yellow, red, and black figures, which we're seeing a lot in the last few works here, and then lots of faces here at the bottom. Interesting piece by The Myth, edition of 10 for 12 Tez, and 6 are gone. And continuing on, Gloomtube, Shortness of Breath. So interesting, always almost like a satire or criticism of contemporary culture. Here is a kind of classic, popular, let's say, winter jacket or autumn jacket with all of these labels on it and kind of wrapped in barbed wire. You see the consumerism sale and all of these little tags on it telling you to buy. Interesting piece. Shortness of Breath, interesting title. Edition of 10, 555, and 5 gone, and 5 transferred. And also worldwide, this is Gloomtube, and this is an edition of 1, selling for 75 Tezos, and kind of classic, working again with the garbage bag theme. And here, out in the rain, garbage bags. So again, very unglamorous sort of imagery, kind of satire of contemporary culture. Again, really, the antithesis of romanticism, we might say, which would be focused on the beauty of nature and, beautiful flower. This is a gray, dark, stormy day of garbage bags. Hilarious. Brilliant. Worldwide. Highway to Hehe. Jake Studios. This is an edition of 1, and this sold for 50 Tez at auction. And here you see another kind of stream of consciousness illustration by Jake Studios. And here you see more really cool trademark upside down pixelated clouds, cool animations, just kind of a jittery illustration, cool mouse cursor there, and what looks like kind of a police car. Interesting piece. Jake Studios edition of 1. Here is Katerina Create for people of Tezos. So there is Katerina Create. How cool is that? So a self-portrait of Katerina here. And you see all of the outgrowths of her imagination here. The moon, the mushrooms, the flowers, and everything. Very cool portrait, self-portrait from Katerina Create. Now at 30 Tezos at auction, still at auction. As bidding is continuing. Here is Pamelo Chirone. With a very cool work, almost looking like a meteor from the sky. Look at the sky. Look at the wonderful different little flecks of mark making and the texture and this landscape and what looks like maybe a dog and a child and everything. All the energy of Pamelo Chirone, who of course I follow, out of Buenos Aires or Argentina. Bedala, Classic Autumn, with a new work here. And using a lot of collage traditionally, I wonder if there's collage in here. It kind of looks like there could be. Let's see what Bedala says. Autumn is coming, isn't it? Not sure. Blue illustrations, maybe just an illustration. Nice piece. Edition of 15, only 2 Tezos, super reasonable. Here is Evelyn O with another really interesting abstract. As you can see here, experimenting some more. Very cool work. I hope these are being minted. That was posted on X. And this must be Santiago, because it is a massive file. Modern History of Car Parts Art, just a rad title, September 18th, 2024. And of course, Santiago will be doing the translations awesomely today. And as you see here, incorporating some AI elements into the abstraction and collage. So kind of a whole mix. Look at this epicness. A whole mix of different processes, techniques, technological wonder, collage of AI outputs, edition of 20 for 7 Tezos. Here's this Drupal waffle. A couple of new ones on Rodeo. And so I actually forgot to mint the other ones. It's a lot, just kind of keeping up with everything. I showed it on the show, the last ones, but forgot to mint it. Hilariously, I need to do these here. Anyways, cool work. What is the title? Glory. So interesting, kind of enigmatic. And new works here, nice textures and everything. When You Are a Martian Church, another one. 61 minted here, and let's just load it up. So interesting color in this one, and lots of eyes and everything. So just having fun. All looks good over here. Just fun and cool. Here's RJ with another figurative work. Pretty cool. This looks like a nude, maybe a male nude perhaps. And interesting, let's see if we can get some more texture or details on this. They look like AI is being involved here. Getting wonderful texture. Once again, we're kind of back to texture. Like looking pretty good. Interesting size. Like they're not huge. They're big, but they're not huge. Like maybe we don't have the pixels size, but again, and they're kind of rough. Like when you go up close, and I think that's pretty cool. Like again, like there's something very unique about these works here. But there you see the square. So something's going on here in these hard edges. Very cool process at work. Here's Stip and Pixel on Zora, animation train moment of Ant Plaza. So, of course, Stip and Pixel, being a great pixel artist, has put a lot of work on Tezos in the past. Here's one on Zora. A bit more animation in this one, and kind of loading up better now. It takes a minute to load up. Here it's a little out of focus, but it did load up at the end. There you go. And there you can see the whole work. It's almost like these, I think Foundation as well, it like keeps streaming, so it starts from 0 every time. Anyway, only 4 minted there. Nicholas Sassoon, so you might get a low edition if you're lucky. Nicholas Sassoon, good morning. Beautiful. Here, shimmering work, landscape. Here's Kareem Safa, pattern cycling. So an abstract here in black and white, probably a pretty small file, one would imagine. Cool kind of cycling gradients. Here is Kristen Roos, double ziggurat. Interesting reference to ancient Samaria, I assume. Interesting, or maybe Turkey, the ziggurats, Middle Eastern kind of archaeological structures. Nice piece. Nice subject matter, cool title, and that's an edition of 70. That was for Gift Day. I don't think we've shown that yet. And that's sold for only $5.75. What a steal. Here's Hermipe pixel art. This artist is awesome, and what's also interesting about this artist is they get corporate. It's really interesting. Like, look at this piece here. I think it's made on their phone, if I'm not mistaken. And interesting, this is another one I want to show. This is for Starbucks, I believe. Let's see what it says. I got to illustrate a Starbucks chilled cup pumpkin spice latte. So, pretty interesting. I wonder if Starbucks found Hermipe on Instagram. Like it is, people do get found on Instagram. 321. You get one, post that really does well, but you see, it's not a huge amount of likes. So pretty interesting, cool artist. And again, just doing work. They had another one. This is for Shiseido, which I think is makeup. So very interesting what's going on with this pixel artist. This is pretty cool. Green Ginger. Let's give you a taste. There is no way home, but at least I will rest among the stars. So really cool work, isn't it? By Green Ginger. The Last Survivor, 650 on Primary. Nice collaboration, and yes, I think 2 people. It is a duo. Music made by Green Ginger using Beatbox, so they also made the music. Here is Brain Dead with a work in progress. I don't think this is quite finished yet. So another one of these almost pixel art machines. And there you see a hand moving on its own and all sorts of stuff. Surveillance cameras and everything. Candles, machines, spider eyeball, everything. Here's Popple. Red, green, and blue is in the colors circles here. And then here, just another work. I haven't seen a ton minted from Popple recently. I wonder if it's coming. You can almost see the influence of 1-Bit Necro a little bit in this work, I would argue. Just an awesome artist. Kind of horror pixel art kind of vibe to it. With that Jason mask. Here's Sabato Zandao, Chrome Period drawing number 20. Not sure if this has been minted yet. Really cool piece. I love the kind of the black, getting the black material there really beautifully with the cycling gradient, and then in the background just static pixels on top. Cool, very cool work. Semha, a series of grieving denial. Kind of a cool psychological work here, with a little figure being overwhelmed by what looks like a wave in the water, and denial of grieving, perhaps. Here's Françoise Gamma, super cool. That's a comment. Françoise Gamma with a work. I'm not sure if there's no sound here, so just an eye. And here it is, blinking. Interesting piece there, Acid Boy Self-Collapse. Cool kind of twisting and turning, psychedelic or generative code-based art piece. Always kind of trippy there from Acid Boy. Very cool. Here's Lucas Lejeune, GM. And again, kind of overwhelmingly flashing and trippy kind of vector-based work also. One imagines programming, this came up earlier. Maybe it's using a certain kind of software, so cool work there. They could show, I feel like those works could show in the same show. Marietta, this is quite cool. Rescue coffee tables are on object.com. So this is kind of like the genesis of a GLB, it seems to me. Here you see all of these different kind of variations, the illustration first, then it's colored, and then it ends up into this, very interestingly. So super cool. Possible objects are back, that's on object. And how much did that sell for? 5 Tezos each. Parsa Mostagim, touch-starved pear. Cool, I guess this is a CGI artwork. There it is. Huge file, 8100 by 6500. And here you see it again, and there is even the work in progress, or the sketch beforehand. Very cool work here. So CGI, Parsa Mostagim. Here's Ex Mortal, Uncharted, cool landscape here. I think I just love the side of this thing here. The left-hand side is pretty rad, especially these long horizontal gradients. Another kind of cool glitch, which you don't see very often here. Doing another landscape, Uncharted, cool title, edition of 13, now 1880 on secondary. So selling out at 888. And check this out, Summer Ghost, AI times hardware analog glitch. So incorporating AI in here. Very interestingly, again, exporting through different processes will be very interesting to see what happens here. Should that be pursued and followed? Hacia un liberar cultura. This is Canex Zapata. And here, we just kind of an interesting piece here. Of course, Canex Zapata, I believe, coming out of Glitch, doing a lot of AI work, and not exactly sure what's going on here, but it's pretty interesting. It's a GIF, 1100 by 2200, pretty large for a GIF, and just interesting use of text here. I don't know if it's AI, I don't think so. These poems are the result of a Murkoff chain generated through Python, so maybe some programming. Here's Santiago again with another AI artwork. This is my work in progress now. I guess this could have been earlier, or I could have put the earlier one later. Just like with RJ's work, where I'm getting confused between, because it looks like AI is being incorporated. It's like, do you put it in the AI section? Do you put it in the painting section? Anyway, beautiful work here. Again, love these margins. The bottom margin here, this negative space is awesome, and the work itself, very complex and beautiful. Here's Tukes with a very interesting piece, Decision and Destiny. Very nice kind of spaced out work. And here's another one by Tukes, a landscape, kind of more minimal. And here's Skamra with what looks like a Super Mario figure, but really hard to tell. And again, you get these stable diffusion, textural inverter, textures here, super interesting. As we move into physical, Mark Tennant art, kind of looks like Kate Moss, doesn't it? Kind of a famous picture of Kate Moss rendered as a painting, I think. Pretty cool. Could be totally wrong about that. And look at this. We've seen this artist a million times. This one was awesome. Kind of looks like a trading card or a playing card. Bobici Matiha, the favorite customer, 70 by 50 acrylic on canvas. Beautiful. Again, the negative space is rad. Edgy composition, cool repetition. PB Universal with some interesting works here, looking very cool, just with the painted areas and the pencil contrasting nicely. Cool photo, nice documentation. And that is the show. I think I forgot to put the outro music. Thank you for joining me in this kind of sped up version. How are we doing here? 44 minutes, we did it. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you in the myth space and the one of one space on Surrealist Manifesto after. Until next time, take care.